Start once again with chemistry for class 10. Today again we are doing the revision for this chapter number 5, periodic classification of elements. Again I've come up with few questions which had come in the previous year's papers. Please listen to the questions and the answers given for that carefully. The first question here is, the given table is a part of the periodic table. Observe the table carefully and you have to explain why lithium and sodium are considered as active metals. Atomic size of magnesium is less than that of sodium and fluorine is more reactive than chlorine. So here atomic size, why is it less than that of sodium? You can easily say that because magnesium comes after sodium. So sodium will have one electron in its outermost shell because it belongs to group number 1, whereas your magnesium belongs to group number 2. Therefore they will have 2 valence electrons in its outermost shell. So as the electrons increases, the atomic size reduces there. So magnesium will have much lesser size than that of sodium. And why lithium and sodium are considered as active metals? Because they have only one electron in their outermost shell. So the tendency to lose electrons is very easy. So this is how you have to answer these questions, and I have given the answers for these questions in the next slide. You see here, both lithium and sodium are active metals since their atoms have only one electron in their valence shell. They readily lose this electron to have the configuration of the nearest noble gas element. I had explained you just now about that. Magnesium is placed after sodium in the same period. So atomic size decreases along a period, therefore size of magnesium is smaller than that of sodium. Both fluorine and chlorine belong to group 17. Since fluorine is more electronegative than chlorine, it is therefore more reactive also. Clear? So this is how we have to answer these. Next question here. Two elements X and Y belong to group number 1 and 2 respectively in the same period. So that means what? X and Y belong to two different groups. X belongs to group number 1 and Y belongs to group number 2. They are all in the same period. You have to compare them with respect to the number of valence electrons, their valency, metallic character and size of the atoms. So X and Y belongs to group number 1 and 2, but they belong to the same period. So first question is, you have to compare them with respect to the number of valence electron. So the number of valence electron present in element X will be 1 because it belongs to group number 1, and element Y belongs to group number 2, therefore its valence electron will be 2. And you have to compare about its valency. So when valence electron is 1 for the element X, as it belongs to group number 1, its valency will also be 1. And the valence electrons present in Y, which belongs to group number 2, will be 2. Therefore its valency will be 2, because valency is nothing but the number of valence electrons present in the outermost shell of an atom. Next they are talking about the metallic character. Metallic character decreases along a period. So element X will be more metallic when compared to element Y. Similarly, they are asking a question about atomic size. So they all belong to the same period. So the size of atomic X, this element X will be bigger than the size of Y because atomic size decreases along a period. So the answer would go like this: atomic size decreases along a period. As a result, element Y will have a smaller size than the element X. Clear to you? So you have to be thorough with the basic rules of metallic character. It decreases across a period. And about atomic size, it also decreases across a period, increases down the group. So these things you should be thorough with. Whatever is the group number, that tells you the number of valence electrons present in the outermost shell. So valency is talking about the number of electrons which an atom of an element is going to gain or lose while taking part in a chemical reaction. So the basic things, if you're thorough with, you can answer any type of questions. Considering their position in the periodic table, which one of the following elements would you expect to have maximum metallic characteristic? Elements given are gallium, germanium, arsenic, selenium and beryllium. See, they are asking about the metallic character. Atomic number of beryllium is 4 and of gallium is 31, germanium is 32, arsenic is 33 and Se is 34, right? Therefore, your metallic character increases down the group and decreases from left to right in a period. So in this case, beryllium is expected to have maximum metallic character. Okay, when you think about their atomic numbers also, beryllium is more metallic when compared to others. Your gallium, germanium, arsenic, selenium. Arsenic is and all is a metalloid, right? So beryllium is expected to have maximum metallic character. Clear to you? Next question. How does the electronic configuration of an atom relate to its position in the modern periodic table? See, how will you decide the position of an element based on its electronic configuration? This is the question, right? So, when I tell you the electronic configuration, suppose for example, if we take the element sodium, its atomic number is 11. So, electronic configuration 281. So, when the last shell is having one electron, you will say this element sodium belongs to group number 1, and electronic configuration is 281. So from that you can say it belongs to period number 3. So group number of an element can be predicted by the number of valence electrons present in the outermost shell, and the period number can be told by the number of shells that are existing around the atom, that is nucleus of the atom of an element. So knowing the electronic configuration, we can find the number of electrons present in the outermost shell and the number of shells around the nucleus of that particular atom. So from this group number and period number, we can easily locate the position of the atom of an element in a periodic table. Clear to you? How does the electronic configuration of an atom relate to its position in the modern periodic table? Answer is simple. When you know the electronic configuration, you come to know the number of valence electrons. The number of valence electrons tells us the group to which the particular atom of an element belongs to. So when you look at the electronic configuration, you can easily come out with the fact that how many shells are around the nucleus of that particular atom. So by knowing the number of shells around the nucleus of an atom of an element, you can see the period number, and by looking at the valence electrons in the outermost shell of the atom of an element, you can tell the group number. So when you know this period number and group number and the electronic configuration, this would help you to predict the position of the atom of an element in that periodic table. Clear to you? This question now. The following is Newland's octave table. Observe it and answer the following questions. So they have given you the Newland's periodic table, and based on this they have given few questions and you have to answer. I have given the answer after each question there. Which of the element in first column has different properties from rest of the elements? You all remember when we had done this lesson itself, when we were discussing about the demerits or why this Newland's periodic table was not taken into consideration, we had discussed this point that few elements which did not resemble the properties of the previous elements were placed in a similar group. For example, your hydrogen, fluorine, chlorine, they are all gaseous by nature. Cobalt and nickel, they are not gaseous by nature. They are placed along with this. This was a demerit discussed there. So the first question, which of the element in first column has different properties from rest of the elements? So your cobalt and nickel stands as the answer for that question. Now look at the next question there. Which of the elements resemble with each other in second column? The same. Lithium, sodium and potassium. One thing that we have seen earlier. And now when we look at the modern periodic table, lithium atomic number 3, 1 electron in its outermost shell. Your sodium also has 1 electron in its outermost shell. Your potassium K has atomic number 19, even that will have 1 valence electron in its outermost shell, right? So they all have similar valency, that is 1. Okay, this is how you have to answer the question. Now look at the next question here. Same table, based on that, pick up odd element in the second last column. Second last column is your DA, that musical notes, Da, right? So what are the elements given there? Nitrogen, phosphorus, manganese and arsenic. So from this you have to pick up the odd one out. You can easily tell me arsenic is not a metal, nitrogen is not a metal. So which one is metallic by nature? Your manganese, right? So manganese is going to be the odd element in the second last column. Now pick up elements which have similar properties in last column. Your last column has your oxygen, sulfur, iron and selenium. So which will have similar properties? Oxygen, sulfur and selenium. Clear to you? With this, I'm coming to the end of this session. I think while revising this chapter, we have come across so many questions and we have revised the entire chapter also. And all the questions which were given in the presentations in the previous session and today's session are all those questions which had come in the previous year's papers. They are all taken from your board papers only. So please go through these questions and just you can expect such type of questions. So as far as this lesson is concerned, you have to concentrate more on learning the merits and demerits of every periodic table. Your Daubernier, your Newland, your Menlev, your modern periodic table, and the important question, your merits and demerits of Mendel's periodic table. And modern periodic table, how are the anomalies of Mendel's periodic table overcome in modern periodic table? These are all some common questions which are asked every now and then. And then you have to be thorough with atomic size, metallic character, how it varies down the period, down the group, across a period. Those things you have to be thorough with. These are the basic things that you have to be thorough with this chapter. Then you can answer any type of questions. And I told you have to be thorough with elements with atomic number 1 to 20. To be on the safer side, you can learn till 30 also. Electronic configuration, symbols, valencies. Okay, so that will help you in the long run. Okay, so with this I'm coming to an end of today's session. Good luck. Keep studying. Hard work always pays. Best of luck. Take care.